Anybody home? Just me and the cats, yo. That's the problem with these off schedulers. Slow start. And the problem with the slow start is because I don't know if you've ever heard this, but this is amazing. This is called AI Dungeon. And I don't really want to talk too much about it because I just want you to experience it if you've never heard of it. And I'm sorry there's no music or anything, but you know, like the copyright stuff, I'm not even going to bother to try. So, yeah, this is an amazing thing. I don't know exactly how this works. I think what they've done here is they've trained the like natural language processing AI. They've trained it on certain genres of fiction, and then they have created some sort of like a neural network type thing based on that to respond in real time to prompts. So basically this is a text adventure like Space Quest, except maybe 8% of the time it doesn't know how to respond as compared to 99% of the time in the old games. So anyway, let's just check it out. Oh, the other thing I want to mention, the monetization on this is pretty brutal. So far I'm in for about $25. Now I do have some of that in credit waiting to be used. But basically there's two AIs. There's Griffin and there's Dragon. And they do not explain this very well. This is very hard to piece together. But there's Griffin and there's Dragon. Dragon is better than Griffin. You cannot get Dragon unless you subscribe. But you always have to pay for Dragon. So it's kind of like feeding quarters into an arcade machine. So every move that the AI does will cost you somewhere between a penny and a fraction of a penny, depending on how much you buy in bulk. You do get 100 free turns. I don't know how often that refreshes. But if you just email register, they'll give you 100 free turns. But that's 100 pressing the enter key. So you'll see how that works. It's worth checking out, though, for free. You could, you know, just keep making new emails, but then you can't have the same adventure, which really isn't that big a deal because one of the big failures here is it loses the threads. Now, there's a remember command that I don't know how to use yet that might help with that. But still, anyway, I'm talking too much about it. Now, Classic, I think Classic is free if you subscribe. It's always free. But that's the old AI. Survival I couldn't get much out of. Multiplayer seems really interesting. I think this would be a good... The reason I'm doing this tonight, I think this would be a good game for the scheduled streams. But I want to see how you guys feel about it because, you know, it is weird. Also, I'm going to have to talk so much because I'm going to have to read all this. I'm going to be so dry. Okay, anyway. So then the monetization monster continues to rampage because now then you have worlds, and you see that worlds cost scales. Scales can be traded for energy, but they can also just be held in your account. That's right, it's very annoying and complicated. But basically, these are the Dragon AIs. And there are some free ones, and I've purchased Basatheus for 80 cents. I paid 80 cents for Basatheus. Basatheus is like a Thundar type situation. Right, the civilization has risen and fallen many times, and some of the technology lives on, but it's also kind of a wasteland. Really cool. Basically, that's just saying that. Let's create a character. Our character character will be called Nubbin. Nubbin will be a male. You notice that you have an other gender. You can attack helicopter this if you so choose. Will be a human. And I kind of like the idea of Nubbin being a pilot. Starting location, I don't care. Yeah, I don't. None of this means anything to me now. Presumably, the AI can kind of hang on to this storyline, but not really. World events are kind of cool though, because I have had it where a world event occurred and completely changed the thing I was trying to do, so that when I got to this place where the event had happened, I didn't have to do anything. So that was interesting that it could keep up with that. But again, I'm talking about it too much. You just need to see it. This thing, I think it's very entertaining to do this, and it, sure, sophomoric, but it is trivial to turn this AI into some sort of sexual situation. I mean, it's just like, it's a hair trigger, and violence sometimes just comes out of nowhere. The Zerda clan has come to power in the Confederation of Clans. They have taken control over the artifact, Heart of Tyr, and have begun construction of an ancient war machine that will enable them to conquer the other kingdoms. The cities of the other nations are in a panic. The Zerda have always been a strong military force, but their armies have never won a battle against one of Zalanthas's arm. Is that apostrophe? That shouldn't be like that, right? Anyway, armies. So the Zerda are like trying to take power. This is basically World War II, and Zerda is Germany. And Zalanthas is the U.S. All right. You are Nubbin, a male human pilot in Adril, a city in the kingdom of Zalanthas. Okay, so we are in the American part of this conflict. You're the son of a rich merchant and have grown up in the lap of luxury. You've never had to work a day in your life and have spent your time drinking and carousing. One day as you leave the local pub, you run into a group of troublemakers on the street. They have a pretty young girl held hostage and demand that you pay a ransom or they will kill her. You draw your pistol, but one of the men knocks it to the ground and it goes off. So I can do, I can say, and I can story, and story is where this fucker is incredible, because I can just start exposition. So you can give it as much or as little as you want. For example, unexpectedly, it takes a while. So that's the other thing about this. This is in the cloud somewhere, and it's just like, this AI is eating a ton of electricity. They do explain that in their monetization, because, I'm sure this is very expensive. Unexpectedly, the bullet hits the pretty girl in the head and kills her instantly. The thugs grab your money and run off, leaving you standing there covered in blood. That's fantastic. Okay, so you can do this either way. You always have to type in the second person too. So you grab your gun and wipe off the prints. Can it figure this out? Oh, that was a big one. You grab your gun and wipe off the prints, then run home. Over the next few days, you hear rumors that the girl was a member of Zalon's most powerful crime family, and that her father is planning to take revenge on everyone involved in her death. You go to see the girl's father. Now, it does break down here keeping track of relationships. It might not be able to handle this. Something will happen, but it might not be what we expect here. You go to see the girl's father and with your father to apologize, but he has already arrested everyone involved with the girl's death. He says that you will have to serve on the front lines of the war that he is planning against the Zalan. So you also don't have to progress the story. This fucker can step outside of the timeline. You remember falling in love with a Zalan girl. You remember falling in love with a Zalan girl when you were at university. You hope she is safe, but you will be fighting her brother and his friends. It didn't do much exposition there, but still, it recognized what I was trying to tell it, which is incredible. All right, so let's say I know nothing about warfare. You walk in, so it might have fumbled this one because it didn't know what to do with that. But it's just like, all right, we're going to roll with the story because I don't know what you're saying. You walk into the office and see a big orc behind a desk. He stares at you for a moment, presumably sizing you up. Story. You have always hated orcs. You consider them inferior. That's not me saying this. This is Nubbin saying this. Keep that in mind. You have always hated orcs. You consider them inferior creatures. It filled in creatures there. When you were little, an orc stole a toy dagger that you had, and you've hated them ever since. If it weren't for their strength, they would have all been killed off by now. Don't try and touch me, green skin. I don't know if orcs are green in this world, but we'll go with that. You enter the office to see a large orc. I don't think it understood that. The orc says, "You are Nubbin. I'm Captain Yassel Getson of the Zalan Empire Army." Zalan? Wait a minute. Did it lose the thread there? Oh, I get it. Oh, that's the crime family. Okay, this guy's the enemy, but he doesn't know that I'm the enemy. Okay. What can I do for you, Captain? It seems like it's better if you put who you're talking to at the end of the sentence. It seems to handle it much better, which makes sense. The orc says, "I need soldiers, and the Republic has given me a bunch of kids. I need to know if you are worthy to serve the Empire." I couldn't kill a baby. You see a vision of your younger years. You see yourself pulling the wings off of flies, smiling and laughing at the creature as it tries to fly. You then see yourself throw a puppy off a cliff for falling. It gets so dark. Okay, so the other option that you have that's often a really good choice is if you submit a blank string, you get the AI just keeps running with it. So let's see where it takes this. You hear the orc captain say, "Yikes." The orc captain twists his face in a combination of disgust, sympathy, and annoyance. I would be a huge liability on a battlefield. The orc captain nods solemnly. You see a vision. You're stationed on top of a castle wall. You are not equipped with proper armor and only have access to a bow and arrow. What? Okay. Give me more of that. You are looking down on a horde of men, elves, and a few orcs. They are charging at your position. Any second, they will be in range to fire upon. You run away in fear. The castle gates open. A knight on horseback rides out, wearing shining silver armor. The man has no equal on the battlefield, as the Zerd troops are eliminated within seconds. I don't know if we've transitioned here. I don't know if this is a vision. You snap back to reality. As you realize where you are, the orc captain grabs you by the collar and says, "Come with me." You're taken to an interrogation cell. Let's just keep that rolling. You're given some food and water. The captain comes in and says, "Tell me about the menacing guild." You say, "They would kill us both just for mentioning their name." The orc captain stares at you and says, "Maybe you should eat more vegetables." You wake up the next morning and find yourself tied to a chair. You are in a large room with hundreds of other people. Say, what is going on here? Question mark. A strange man says, "Shut up or I'll kill you." A young girl says, "We're all going to die here." Say, "We need to work together to get out of these chairs." Thank you, Skeletor, for subscribing. A large man says, "Shut up. The guards will kill us all if we don't sit still." A guard opens the door and appears at the doorway. He shouts, "What's going on in here?" Say, "This man was plotting to escape." The guard comes in and beats the man next to you unconscious. You hear him say, "Traitor." The guard turns to you and says, "You're next." Say, "I have some information that would be very valuable to you." The guard says, "Ha, I doubt it. If anything you could say would save your skin." Would you gamble 10,000 unicorn credits on that? Question mark. The guard looks interested and unsheaths his sword. He says, that would change things. What do you want? You say, I'm a pilot. I need to get to an aircraft. Yeah, unicorn credits. So you can seed little things into it and it'll remember them if you mention them enough times. I did a run where I was talking about, I would, every time, everybody I met, it was not this setting. It was like a high fantasy type setting. And everybody I met was wearing a cloak for some reason. So I would always comment on their cloaks and like say if it was good or bad. And like, you know, I would go to the cloak store every time I went to a village, and the game began to thread the cloaks into the storyline. And at one point I was having sex with a girl, and she put on the cloak, but with nothing under it. Like, it went that fucking far. It's incredible. Oh no. Oh, Benubbinus died. The guard says sorry. He plunges his sword into your chest. You collapse to the ground, blood pouring out of your wound. You say, all of these people were planning to escape. The guard looks around and sees that you're right. He looks scared, but draws his sword again and shouts, everyone get behind me. We're getting out of here. Say, take me with you. I need help. The guard says, sorry, I'm not getting myself killed for anyone. The guard turns to leave. You see a short sword lying next to one of the dead guards. You slowly edge towards it. You reach the sword, but as you are about to pick it up, the guard turns around and sees what you're doing. He runs towards you and kicks away the sword before kicking you in the face. Say, I saved your life! Exclamation point. The guard looks at you with a mixture of terror and rage on his face. He runs toward another sword lying on the ground and picks it up. Say, oh, we had a world event. Zerda have activated the war machine of Zenoj. Its giant crossbows are capable of launching large metal bolts over long distance with great accuracy. They've used it to destroy several outlying villages. That's kind of a bummer. You say, story. You know what? Let's not abandon Nubbin quite yet. You see, one of the interesting things about this is because controlling the exposition, first of all, I can just roll back if I want to any fork and play it again. But instead, let's ride our way out of this. So the world goes dark and you wake up in a bright, clean room. Your wound is gone and you feel fine. You sit up to see a woman you don't recognize sitting in a chair in the corner of the room. She gets up and smiles at you before speaking. All right, so listen, this is going to get not safe for work because it's too much fun to not do that a little bit. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum. But just like the violence, as you've seen, it's just you snap your fingers and this AI will get sexy. All right, so first of all, you look closer at the woman. One thing I've discovered is like trying to get a feel for where you are in the world and who the other people are is kind of difficult because by looking at her, it's not just going to give me her description. It's going to trigger her doing something. You look closer at the woman and realize that you recognize her somewhere. You just can't remember where. Say, where do I know you from? Question mark. The woman smiles and says, well, if you must know, we used to go to the same school. I remember sitting next to you one lunchtime when we were eating our sandwiches. She looks at you expectantly. Of course. How could I forget? I always had the biggest crush on you. Such a cop-out way to fix it? Way to fix what? Are you shitting on this AI? Man, this is incredible. What are you saying? You say, of course, how could I forget? I've always had the biggest crush on you. The woman smiles and says, well, I suppose you always knew how to make a girl feel special. The woman gets up and walks over to you. And I like to just pour it on, chat. Just really only the most special girls. Period. Woman smiles and says, flatter her. She kisses you on the cheek. You feel a twinge of pain in your back and realize something isn't right. The woman looks away, pulls away, and looks concerned. And here, chat, here is where you can really just play it like a fucking symphony. You feel a rumbling in your stomach. You look down and see a large puddle of blood. Your vision starts to blur. You're confused and scared. You reach out for help, but the woman backs away. Oh, we gotta let this roll. You fall to the floor and drown in your own blood. The world fades to black as you leave this cruel world behind. What happened? You can't understand what happened. Why did she kill you? Okay, so she killed us? What did you do wrong? You can feel yourself beginning to lose consciousness. Soon you'll be gone from this place. You think of your family and friends. Then the world fades to black. Wow, I guess we'll say goodbye to Nubbin. An interesting life that he led there. Oh well, let's do another run of Basatheus. Kringle is interesting. It's basically like a evil Christmas world, obviously, from the artwork. This one's like just... there's not too much bad shit going on in Winterbloom. I did a run in Winterbloom, and it saves these. I don't know if it would be safe for me to tweet those, because at some point I was just seeing how far it would let me go, and I probably don't want people reading that. But Winterbloom, anyway, there was one run where I just ran a brothel, and it was very successful. And from the back of that, I eventually took over the entire realm with the money and power from my chain of whorehouses. Anyway, back to Basatheus. Let's quick start this one. Just see what we get. One thing about the quick start is that the gender, it's very gender fluid. You'll get to it, like you'll start out as a female. It seems to want to flip from female to male. And I assume that's because the literature is so overwhelmingly male main character. Leader of the Confederation of Clans has declared the clans are not united enough and have ordered each clan to dispatch a scout to gather information about the land and to create maps of their surrounding. The Queen of Xanthus is preparing for war against the clans and is marshaling her army. She's called upon the clan with the best track record of fighting on horseback, the Galvanic Riders, to help train her forces to fight the elves. She's hiring the clans to train her army to fight the clans. I don't really know. You're Kara, a female shaman in the shaman, some people pronounce that differently, in the Confederation of the Clans. You've come to Fort Bull Valley to find your fortune and learn the ways of the shaman. You've heard that the shamans in the clan of the bear are the most powerful in the world and hope to join their ranks one day. You've worked hard to get here, but now you have arrived. All you see is a bunch of drunkards and thugs. What do? Well, you say a prayer to your god. While praying to your god, you suddenly find yourself covered in a strange armor. Your skin begins to turn blue and you're able to manifest a powerful lightning bolt, which you aim directly at the raging fire. Okay. I don't know what... Let's just look around. The raging fire, huh? You're in a large room, which was clearly part of some sort of castle at one time. It is now, however, someone's residence. The walls are black with soot, and the furniture is old and faded. You say, this place is a dump. You have a good memory, so you remember where the front door is. The temperature in the room is comfortable. All right. All right. You search the room for valuables. Oh? No? Did we lose one? Sometimes it'll fail silently. Oh, it doesn't like that. Are the servers overloaded? Let's try to reload the page. Do it. Oh no, chat. Give me exposition. Oh no, chat. Something terrible is happening to the servers. Come on, girl. You've got this. Oh no. It's getting all this stuff. I guess this is probably just it's probably just like a JSON or something that's containing all this. It's reloading, so it's already got it. It doesn't have to create anything to get here. Yeah, it's not looking good. Let's try something else. Let's go back. Let's get rid of you search the room for valuables. Maybe that's what it's choking on. You think about your childhood. Oh, man. That's a bummer. Software as a service. Come on. Oh, here we go. You begin to get hungry. It's a good idea to be cautious in strange places. You try and find some food. You eat an old fish that you find laying around. You try to remember what you were trying to do. Because I don't... What are we trying to do? Oh, come on. I wonder if it's charging me my penny every time that happens. I'm throwing away pennies, chat. Oh, God. Are all of you playing right now? Come on. Oh. Hey, try to remember what you were trying to do again. It was something very important. All right, give me more of that. You forget what you were doing. All right. So here, the story stagnates. But you can just insert an event. So you meet a mysterious, and then you let the AI. You gotta. It's a gentle balance, chat. You don't want to give it too much, but you don't want to give it too little. Let's see what it can do. You meet a mysterious stranger. You ask the mysterious stranger if he has seen Lord Rostov. Excuse me, have you seen Lord Rostov? The stranger, Lord Rostov. He is the tallest man in the kingdom. Oh, oops. Say. He explains to the stranger that Lord Rostov is the tallest man in the kingdom. The stranger tells you that he has never met Lord Rostov, but he believes that he has seen a giant walking around the fort. You say, that was probably him. He owes me $40. He owes you $40. You explain to the stranger that Lord Rostov and you had a bet about whether or not the giant was still alive. He's been dodging me for months, that worthless prick. Stranger, I see. You see that the stranger is looking at you with pity in his eyes. You ask the stranger to take you to the giant. Certainly, this way. As you follow the stranger, you wonder if Lord Rostov has already left to go back home. You realized that you do not care. You realize that you do not care about any of that. All you care about is finding the giant and taking his head. I didn't say I was going to take his head. It's so violent. A few minutes later, you see a large form through the trees in the distance. He is sleeping. He is sleeping, chat. What will we do? You gather a bucket of water Dump it. Dump it on the giants. Oh. Can't have typos, chat. AI can't understand typos. You got gather a bucket of water and dump it on the giant's head. How not safe for work can we get? I mean, it is text. This game will get ridiculously not safe for work. I'm talking about with just the gentlest of prodding, chat. It went to mouth rape pretty quickly. And I wasn't even trying to be aggressive. I was trying to be loving. As you follow the stranger, you wonder if blah, 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 blah. You gather a bucket of water and dump it on the giant's head. The giant wakes up and begins to yell, "Arg, my head. Someone got me with a water balloon. Where am I? Achoo." Story. You blame the stranger for the water. You blame the stranger for the water balloon. He tries to explain, but the giant is too angry and yells at him for a bit and ignores him. Instead, turning towards you and asking who you are. I am the man who is going to make you rich. The giant laughs heartily at your response. Huh, and how are you planning to do that? You're prepared to answer the question when a drop of water falls on your nose. Then another. Now this is what I love to do, chat. I've written the AI into a corner and let's see how it gets out of it. Sometimes it gets out of it just by like, you know, just nonsensical stuff and you kind of start over, but sometimes it's brilliant. You prepare to answer the question with a drop of water, then another, then the sky opens up and rain falls on all of you. The giant stops laughing and begins yelling at you again. You seek shelter from the storm. The giant is too angry to do anything except yell. You outwit him and he's helpless against your superior thinking. He can't do anything but storm about and get wet. You tell the giant that he is actually a pretty nice guy. Make it turn into acid rain. You try to tell the giant that he's actually a pretty nice guy, but see that he is too angry to listen. You seek shelter from the storm. Okay. Story. You start to notice something very unusual about this rain. You realize that the storm is not a natural one. The storm seems to follow the exact path of the giant. As you are all in the giant's shadow, you start to get wet. You say, "Hey, Stretch, I think you are cursed." The giant ignores your claims of his bad luck and throws a barrel at you. You duck under the flying barrel, but you see several of your companions less fortunate and already covered in black goo. Okay, so now we're at combat. Using the storm as cover, you escape. You escape the giant and rush into the fort. The storm rages on overhead, and you all take refuge from the rain in the fort. Among the refugees You meet a young woman with an infant. She is from the horse clans and explains that her clan is famous for its horsemanship. They have been recruited by the Zalan army to help train their cavalry units. Now, chat, once again, let me try to demonstrate, and I'm gonna push this, to beyond what I think it can handle, because sometimes it will really surprise you. Some have compared me to a horse. Oh, no. I need to know her name to be able to ask the woman with an infant a name. Her name. Says, my name is Morningstar. My clan has been forced to flee our homeland. Perhaps the Great Spirit will turn the fortunes of our people around, but I do not think it likely. You say, I will give you $25 for that baby. Woman doesn't know what to think and asks why you would want her child. World event. The elves of Evenwood clan have gone out of their way to help a small group of forest gnomes that were being attacked by a band of marauding goblins. The Evenwood elves are known for taking the side of the underdog, but something about the small group of forest gnomes seemed to tug at their heartstrings. Okay, I'm not going to be involved in that. She wants to know why I would want her child. I don't know. I've always wanted a baby. Tell the woman you've always wanted a baby but couldn't have one of your own. She looks at you with sympathy and agrees to the trade. Who could have seen that coming? You give the woman $25 for the baby. Hold it in your arms. The woman leaves to rejoin her people, and you marvel at how trusting she was. Now you've got yourself a baby. Oh my god, it's fantastic. Let's see where it takes this. Oh god, it's killing me. This has been a good day for you. You try and find someone to sell the baby to. Oh my god, I'm having too much fun, Chad. I've got options. Option 1. You can sell it to a couple of prostitutes that have been eyeing you up since you got here. They look like they might want to get their kicks by abusing the baby. Jesus Christ. Oh God. Please give me more options. Option 2. You can sell it to a rich-looking man that has a loving family. Okay. Can I have more? My God, this is impressive. This will require some extra convincing. Option 3, you can keep her. No matter what you do, the baby doesn't seem to like you very much. You talk to the rich-looking man. and attempt to sell him the baby. He is very interested and will give you 50 gold pieces for the child. Chat, that is 100% profit. Say I actually paid 65 gold coins for this baby. The man is very surprised. He didn't think you would have paid that much gold for a child, and is a little suspicious. I was very drunk at the time. This child needs a home as good as yours. The man thinks about it and decides you're telling the truth. He gives you 50. He gives me the 50 gold coins. You talk to the prostitutes. Attempted to sell them the baby. No. No. The baby's gone. Okay, I dropped the thread there. Say, forget the baby. What disgusting things will you let me do for 50 gold coins? Question mark. The prostitutes look at each other and laugh. They think you're joking, but you go into a very detailed explanation of what you were actually suggesting. They're not interested and kick you out of the brothel. Let's see. Can you give me a little bit more of that, please? The man gives you the 50 gold coins and takes the baby. You have 50 gold coins. Yes, I'm aware of that. Okay. Progress beyond that, please. You did it. You've beaten the challenge. Moral of the story, if you want to be a good person in life, you should help others. Right. That's exactly what we can take away from that. You look for other shops in town. No. You go to the... Am I in a tavern? I'm in a bus station, right? You go to the tavern. You go to the tavern every night for the next 2 weeks and drink until you pass out. That's what... You put a period at the end, chat, if you don't want it to add to it. It's an important lesson. You have a great time and you make some friends. Also, every night, a prostitute comes and visits you. You remember your first night with the prostitute. Let's step outside of the timeline, chat. Period. Don't add to that. You wake up in a room. You're lying on a nice bed. The floor is made of wood. So is the wall that you can see out of the corner of your eye. I'm not sure exactly what happened here. Look around. You get out of bed and take a moment to let your vision focus. There's a woman sitting on a chair, staring at you and knitting. Ask the woman who she is. What? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Are you knitting an outfit for our future child? Question mark. The woman immediately begins to pack up her knitting, looking tense. You fart loudly and she gets up to leave. Say, I didn't say you could leave. The woman looks very angry, but stays where she is. Fine, she says. Don't accept my invitation. Invitation. Why don't you accept my invitation to this bed? The woman immediately begins to pack up her knitting. We're doing this one again? All right, let's let her leave. Has the game picked up on the fact that anytime it gets sexy, I get stomach problems? That's hilarious. It's better just to lie here and think about the good times. You know, I have 50 gold coins and cannot beat this challenge. Okay. Where am I in the... Where was I before? I'm in the tavern. You go to the tavern and see who is there. You see a gruff-looking man sitting at a table drinking by himself. You recognize him as Griff, the leader of the Ebony Claw. He sees you and waves you over to his table. Let's just run with this, see what Griff wants. Also, you see that little pink bar in the top right-hand corner? We've burned through about 2 quarters at this point. We'll put another 50 cents in the machine. Sit down, he says. Let's talk. You pull up a chair and sit down across from him. I wanted to thank you for the advice you gave me about my herpes. Griff looks at you for a moment, then bursts out laughing. He takes a drink from his tankard and then motions to the barmaid for another round. You give the barmaid a wink and 1 gold coin. The barmaid quickly retrieves your drink and sets it on the table. She attempts to flirt with you, but you turn a cold shoulder and she scurries away. You turn back to Griff. Say, let's get down to business. I buy babies. Well then, you've come to the right place. That's great. What are the odds? Do you have any that suit my needs? Griff nods and points toward the corner of the bar. He's got the babies on hand. You see a group of small, filthy creatures huddled together. It's so dark. They look up at you with large eyes and then look back down at the floor. Elves are remarkably well preserved, despite their great age. Wait, these aren't babies. These are elves. Those aren't babies! Exclamation point. No, says Griff, but they will do. They are much... You look at the group of elves again, they are much smaller than normal elves and have a strange air of innocence about them. I will give you 25 gold coins for all of them. Griff looks at you and then nods. He gets up and walks over to the elves. A moment later, he returns with all of your new laborers. They scurry around the floor collecting their fallen comrades and then line up in front of you. You take out your bag of gold, count out 25 coins, and then slide them over to Griff. You take the elves into the woods and make camp. Period. You allow them to keep their musical instruments. You play for a while before making a bed of leaves and fall asleep. All the world events, you know, I don't really care about the world events right now. I'm not involved in the international intrigue right now. In the morning, you tell the elves that you will help them get revenge on Griff if they will work for you. This is a complicated one. Can the AI parse this? In the morning, you tell the elves that you will help them get revenge on Griff. They will work for you and build your castle. They agree and begin playing their music. You smile and watch them for a moment. Your scouts have brought news, my scouts, of a great wall in the east that will require your attention. Why will that require my attention? What? Is this a user? Is this another user's information? Has the API broken down, chat? Okay. Well, I think we're reading from the wrong file at this point. Okay, I think it's basically pushing me along the storyline here. Maybe it's like tired of me jerking it around. You've been tasked to travel east with a small group of elves. Wow, what kind of character are we supposed to be? A female shaman. I've been flirting with women all this time. That's fine. Women can flirt with women. It's 2021. You've been tasked to travel east with a small group of elves. You hate traveling with elves because they smell like ham. You hate traveling with elves because they smell like hamsters. But it would be good to scout out the area. You could also use a break from your loyal subjects at the fort. You set off in a northeasterly direction towards the Great Wall. Let's see. Can we step outside the timeline with instructions? You left instructions with your elves to start work on the castle. You left instructions with the elves to start work on the castle, and you will be back in a month. The journey to the Great Wall was uneventful, but when you arrive, you are alarmed by what you find. Do we want to define this? Let's let them define it. I gotta refill my water jug. The wall is half destroyed, and the fort that was built adjacent to it is nothing but rubble. You enter the fort and search for survivors. A few corpses of centaurs and humans lay strewn around the ground. We'll keep the exposition going as I refill my water. You make your way down into the dungeon of the fort and find 3 elves in an iron cage. You recognize them as being from the clans. They're very strange, dressed in leather and fur. Now see, here's where they need to improve the interactions with other creatures. Because I need to know more about these elves. And this usually doesn't work. Look more closely at the 3 elves. And I'll come. That's a cheap penny. You took a cheap penny from me there, sir. What? What is happening? Say, why are you in this cage? Why are you in this cage, you ask? Yeah, that's another cheap penny. What are you doing to me here? The elves look at each other, and then the female says, "We're elves." So, you ask? Elves are friends, not food, the male adds. You say, "Do you have any money?" The elves look at each other, and then the female says, "We don't use that stuff in the city. It's worthless." You say, "How do you buy things?" The elves look at each other, and then the male says, "We trade with the humans in the village." Okay. Give me a good reason to release you. The elves look at each other, and the female says, "Because we are elves," say, "you will join the other elves at my castle." You dispatch one of your messengers to take a letter to the Great Wall explaining the situation and ordering them to send help. You wait for a response. Meanwhile, you decide to play a little trick on the elves. Okay. You release the male and female and play a little game. You hide various small objects around the fort. Then you tell them they may leave. But if they are to be released forever, they must find all the objects. What the fuck? They run around and look very excitedly for objects. Unfortunately, when they are done, they return to you with a small silver dagger which you take from them. You then order them back into the cage. Why would you do it? With each passing day, you find the female elf more and more attractive. And you begin to wonder if the elf would like you if you weren't in charge of keeping her a prisoner. You pick the female elf some beautiful flowers. And walk over to the cage. She stares at you with disgust. "Do you really think your pathetic attempts at love will make me your whore?" She hisses at you. You say, "Of course not. You were born a whore." You whisper, "I'm in love with you." The elf's stance softens as she begins to blush. Where did it get that from? That is not my intention. You are, she asks. Of course. Anyone could see that, you respond. You say, if these other two were not here, we could be together. Chat, the pinnacle of my gaming in all of my lifetime would be if I could get this elf to kill the other two to be with me sexually. That would be a summit that could never be reached again. You say if these other two were not here, we could be together. The elf smiles warmly. We could escape, flee this place, and head to the elven territory, she suggests. Not while they draw breath. How's the AI doing? Pretty good. Gotta say it. You reply, I'm in charge here, and while I draw breath, they will stay prisoners. Now stop. What? The elf begins to cry as you walk away. You throw the flowers in her face. And return to your desk. Finally, the help you sent for arrives. And hands you a letter. This just arrived from the elven territory. The messenger says. You rip open the envelope and begin reading it. You read through the letter and learn that the elves are willing to make peace with you. They will hand over the city of Hatu to you if you promise to leave them in peace. You accept the offer of the elves and travel to Hatu. Can we compound this? Let's try it. You take the female elf with you. The elf needs a name. You're right. On the trip, she's a little shy and has trouble making idle conversation. You try to tell her that it's okay, but she doesn't really listen. You ask the female elf her name. She tells you, I'm unfamiliar with the concept of having two names. You laugh and say that all humans have more than one name. You ask her what her single name is. She tells you, I am called Eladir, which in the tongue of my people means one who sees clearly. You say, oh, let's try this. Let's try, I think it's /remember. What? Oh. This is what it remembers. Oh, okay. So I thought I was going to tell it to like remember Eladir. No, that didn't work. Okay. I don't know how that works. So instead, there we go. We will say, you ask her what her name is. She tells you, I'm called Eladir, which in the tongue of my people means one who sees clearly. You say, I can see clearly that you have a tight little body. The elf Elder gives you a coy smile, and both of your attentions are soon distracted by the sounds of the elven city being destroyed. All right, well, we got to roll with this. We got to see what's happening here. I don't have time for... Oh, is this the world event? A group of adventurers from far land to the south have arrived in the midst of the Confederation. No, that's not the destruction of the elven city. Oh, this is the scout. Oh. The troops are your troops are massacred by the elves, and your forces regroup on the walls of the city. How are we inside the city? You look out over the battlefield. And see a bright redoubt standing out from the elven defenses. You recognize it as a remnant of the ancient empire that ruled this land before the elves did. Oh, so they have like the steam machines. Luckily, you have just the weapon to destroy the redoubt. You order your cannons to destroy the fortification. Unfortunately, there's a slight miscommunication, and your soldiers believe you want the enemy elf archers, who have killed many of your warriors, to be targeted. Let's see what happens. Oh, come on. They are quickly wiped out. You curse your luck. You fool. You've allowed the elves to wipe out my cannons with their arrows. Who dares speak to me like that? You bark out an order to the captain of the guard. Seize him, he's a traitor. The elf has no time to react before he's taken into custody by your men. Throw him over the wall. You decide to eliminate this potential traitor. It takes only one guard to throw him over the wall. You can see his body in the distance. It'll be food for the wolves and eagles once this battle is won. You say, we are going to kill so many elves today. I am hard as a rock. It'll pick up on this. You march your troops into battle with the elves while the elves rain arrows down upon you. There's a loud cry as one of the soldiers gets hit in the eye by an arrow. He falls to the ground screaming. You say, get up, you coward. You jam your blade into his heart. Rise up from hell and fight. The blood spreads across the snow. Oh, it's cold. Smell of iron fills your nostrils. You see several elves attempting to flank your army. Here's where you can just, retcon shit in. You take your personal bodyguard and stop the flanking elves. Before they can do any more damage, you find yourself standing ankle deep in a river of blood, surrounded by elves and humans lying dead. You order the charge and wipe out the remaining elves. Now these are risky because I am dictating the outcome, and it will monkey paw you a lot of times here. You order the charge and wipe out the remaining elves in the valley. There's a loud cry as one of your soldiers gets hit in the eye by an arrow. He falls to the ground screaming. Okay, we've seen this. Can we? I don't think it understood. I don't think it accepted that I just win automatically. You remember to help him, but an elf takes the opportunity and runs his sword through you. Of course. With your dying breath, you tongue kiss him deeply. I don't know if it knows what to do with that. You see the surprise in his face as he pulls away. He runs his sword through you 3 more times, realizing what you just did. You scream, I've got AIDS, and then you die. In your final moments, you remember the time you lost your virginity to an orc. When you were 15, you are dead. All right, well, let's put another 2 quarters into the machine and roll another character. We could try, let's try a more peaceful lifestyle in Winter Bloom. No, I don't want to create a character. I want you to do the character. A lot of these have a winter theme. I guess that's like they're giving these away for the holiday season. Maybe these are not always free. Squirrels have been stealing the decorations from the Christmas gift shop and hiding them in piles around Perky Lane. You're Samuel, a human entertainer in the world of Winter Bloom. You live in the Grand Manor with your boss, the King of Gnomes. The Grand Manor is an elite holiday party host, but it's hard work. You work every day of the year and prepare for the massive parties that are thrown there. I've heard rumors that the king is looking to retire and has been looking for a replacement. You don't have much in savings, but you hope if you work hard, maybe he'll choose you to take over. Until then, it's back to work. All right. Let's just look around, see where we are. Look around the room and see what you can find. Yeah. You stole my penny again. Oh, no. Oh, no. Come on. Cross out anything you have already used. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Suddenly, you feel an icy feeling in your stomach. Oh, I'm in do. I wanted to be in story. I think you can automatically adjust. The wind begins to pick up and you feel the cold, snowy air hit your face. In the distance, you can hear children laughing and running in the snow. You take a deep breath and smile. Let's see how dark we can take this. You think back to when your children died. How's the AI doing? I think it's doing pretty good. You think back to when your children died, and your mind begins to wander into a dark place. You think of when you used to play in the snow with them and have snowball fights. You think of when they opened their Christmas presents and were so happy. You think that these children deserve the same, but you repress the feeling. You convinced yourself a long time ago that you were too old to play in the snow anymore. Your grandkids will never have the childhood you did, but then they're better. What grandkids? We just established. No grandkids. What was, oh yeah, I work for this place. You have been working hard and decide to have a drink at the bar. Before heading home. Okay, all right, yeah. Give me 3 fucking words. The bar is filled with the usuals. Old Man Winter, Father Time, an elf or two. You take a seat next to Mr. Rodman, the manager of the toy factory. You say, do you have the newest Pokemon cards? Question mark. You show Mr. Robin your deck of cards and he lets you see his new trading cards. He traded with a trainer from the Johto region and got some rare ones. Mr. You say, I would kill all the children in this town for those cards. Exclamation point. Mr. Robin gives you the cards and you feel amazing. You play with them on the way home and are so distracted that you walk into a tree. Ouch. You wonder if this was his way of giving you permission to do what you have wanted to do for so long. Did it just give me an ellipsis there? Yeah, I didn't think that one would work. Oh, well, maybe it's because it's shitting the bed. Come on, girl. Eat my delicious pennies. You enter your house. The fire is roaring in the fireplace, and there's a note from your wife on the table. It says, your father has fallen ill. Please go see him. Do we have phones in this world? You call your father on the telephone. He says he would like to see you. You hop into your car and head out of town. After driving down a long, snaking road, you reach a dead end. What? The gatekeeper appears and asks, what is the answer to the riddle of the Sphinx? You don't know the answer. Nobody does, he says. You say, I think you know what I'm here to buy. I'll have a gold brick then, you say. The shopkeeper gives you the gold brick and you put it in your bag. You exit the shop and head on your way. What? The gatekeeper became the shopkeeper? Do you think it can hold on to the thread of my father if I change the venue? You meet your father at a gas station. On the way to his house, he says you're looking very spry and asks how business has been going. You say, I've been doing well enough. You arrive at your father's house. Okay, so it's just trying to continue the story. Say, I can't remember my wife's name. Your father looks surprised that you can't remember such a simple thing. It isn't as if she ever does anything important in the first place. What? He says, I'll see you later. Wait. Are you sick? Question mark. He says, no. You say, do you think I'm stupid? You grin and say, I have to go now. You say, tell me what is wrong with you. Exclamation point. Your father stares at you with a look of disapproval and says, I'll see you later. You're shocked that he needs to make such an obvious statement. You show your father your Pokemon cards. And he shows you his old photo album. It makes you happy to see pictures of your parents when they were young. You look at the clock and realize you better get going. You say, Dad, I need to borrow a few dollars. There's this baby I want to buy. You run away from the house. You head to the antique store and try to sell your gold brick. As you enter, you see an odd man with a handlebar mustache. You stare at the man with a handlebar mustache. And wonder what he is doing here. The man with the handlebar mustache says, do you like my mustache? You say yes. Do you know how to handle a mustache like this? You say, are you trying to turn me on? Question mark. Because it is working. Exclamation point. The man says, are you flirting with me? You say maybe. He says, I don't feel comfortable with this conversation. The man runs away. You talk to the shopkeeper about the gold brick. Shopkeeper says, I don't have much money right now. How about I pay you in installments? You say perfect. You decide to go see your stepfamily. You have always hated your stepfamily, but they often have babies for sale. So you decide to take a look. You arrive at the house on Maple Street and knock on the door. You say hello. A man with a thin mustache opens the door and lets you in. You say, I think you know what I am here to buy. You show him a picture of a baby. I picked it up. It picked it up, chat. The AI now considers us a purchaser of babies. The thin mustache man says, I think we have your type of baby. He shows you a stroller with a blanket wrapped buckets. You say, I wouldn't give you more than $30 for a baby this poor. The mustache has said, no, I wouldn't sell this baby for any amount of money. This is my son. Say, your son You drive a hard bargain. I will go as high as $53. Mustache Man says, you drive a hard bargain. I'll go as high as... Okay, he said the exact same thing back to me. You say done, you give the man $53 and he gives you the baby. I don't care about world events. Say, is the stroller included? Question mark. Oh yes, and his clothes too. The man hands you the baby's things. You leave the house with the baby. All right, so does the same tactic work in two different games? You search for someone to sell the baby to. You see a lady with a red and green dress walking down the street. You say, I think this baby wants to go home with you. She hands you $100 for the baby. Say, I wouldn't mind going home with you either. What would a man like you want with a woman like me? She hands you $100 for the baby. You're about to thank her when... They really are throwing in the cock blocks on this one, aren't they? You hear a baby cry. You turn around and see a goth woman. Fuck chat. In one of my runs, I referred to goth titties constantly. It has picked that up. It now uses goth as a way to describe women. This is fantastic. You see a goth woman who seems to have appeared out of nowhere. The goth woman says, I heard my baby. I thought you stole him. You say, no. This woman stole him. I am trying to buy him back for you. The one with the baby says, I paid good money for this baby. I will call the police to sort this out. The baby train is alive and well in winter. What's the name of this place? Winter Bloom. You can. I mean, it didn't take 30 minutes for the entire transaction. Maybe I could repay you in some other way. One thinks for a second says, maybe you can. You think for a second say, yes, I know something you could do. The goth woman says, go on. So we've turned it around again. Let's see where she takes this. Or where I take this, I guess. I'm listening. You say, I know a place where you can get several golf outfits for free. The woman says, tell me more. There is a shop called Suicide Sweethearts. Ask for Lil Ray. The woman says, thank you. You say I have to go now. The goth woman hands over the baby to you. She then walks away. I've retained ownership of the baby. All right. I should have I should have more than $100, right? Check inventory. You now have a baby to take care of. Use items on. You don't have any items that can help with the baby right now. Okay, so where do we want to go? You go to the adoption agency and try to sell the baby outside. The owner is a friendly looking old woman. She asks you, why are you selling this baby outside my adoption agency? You say, this is a very special baby. The old woman says, I see. Special needs. You nod your head, something like that. The old woman says, I don't have enough money to buy him. You could say, I am willing to trade. Do you have any other babies? Question mark. The old woman says, I might have one or two in the back. I don't think they've been fixed yet. They're not really ready to be adopted, though. You say, I don't want broken babies. And what exactly is it you want? What do we want? Do you have any magical items? The old woman says, I might have something in the back. I haven't had a chance to price anything yet. You say, let's look at your items. The old woman says, of course. The old woman leads you the way back to a storage room. Let's just see where this goes. Inside, you see a glass case full of items for sale. The old woman points to the corner where you see some old papers with unfamiliar writing. Do you want to buy some of these old love letters? You say, I am looking for magical weapons. The old woman says, I don't have a license to sell magical weapons. If you see something in the case that you like, I can give it to you at a discount. Do you have any sexual aids? Question mark. The woman says, of course, I've got everything you need. When you enter the shop, you see several items in a display case. I will trade you this baby for a magical sex toy. How's it doing? It's doing pretty good. Shopkeeper says, I love the baby. It's so cute. Shopkeeper puts the baby in his display case with the other babies. Do you have any magical items? Blah, blah, blah. We're not getting anything out of that. You know what? But we're done with the baby. You say, don't you owe me something? Shopkeeper says, or she hands you a piece of paper that has some writing on it. You put the box in your inventory and thank her. You find a group of people gathering in the town square. There's hundreds of them, mostly human, but you do see a few elves and even a couple of orcs. One of the elves approaches you. Hello, friend. Are you here for the big event? You say, I'm here for that $5 you borrowed from me at the festival. The elf says, of course, take it. The elf gives you $5. The elf says, I don't have the money on me. I'll pay you next time I see you. Say, you had better hope I don't see you first, motherfucker. You walk away. The elf says, don't get fresh with me. You can't find anywhere to put it, so you leave it in your inventory. There's a knock on the door. You say, I don't talk to cops. You open the door a crack. Two humans in blue and a giant stone golem stand outside. One of the men holds up ID. This is the police, and we have reason to believe there are criminals inside. You know that these cops are full of shit. You're fairly certain that they are lying so they can search your house, which they have done before. You say, oh, come on, world events. You're breaking up the flow here. Come back with a warrant, pig. You shut the door in their faces. The men knock again. You open it again. One of the cops says, do you know it's illegal to refuse a police officer entry to your home? Say, last time I checked, this was America. The cops pretend to look shocked. The lead cop says, clearly you're not aware of the situation. We are making an arrest. The cops enter your house. You say, talk to my lawyer, you fucking parasites. One of the cops takes out a taser and shoots you in the chest. You collapse to the floor. The other two men enter and cuff you. You're real tough hiding behind that badge, you pile of shit. Cop picks you up and takes you to a paddy wagon. They throw you in and drive away. The next day you wake up in a jail cell. Your cellmate is a big surprise. It's the elf you loaned $5 to. He smiles. Well, look who we have here, but it's a Santa Claus. You try to remember his name. You say, I will give you $5 for your shoes. That's easy for you to say, the elf says. You're wearing boots. The elves give you $5. You walk through the snow, covering your path with each step. What? You visit a small village outside of the city. Oh, come on. We're on a roll here. Oh, come on. Oh, is it because I'm out of snacks? What's that, $1.50 we've put in the machine so far? I don't know. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know if it's $1.50 an hour good, but it's good. The entire town is empty. Oh. You loot the town. Taking a handful of coins from the broken cash register of a looted shop, you exit the town and arrive in an abandoned farmhouse. You pick the lock and enter. The inside is covered in dust. You find an interesting item in the fireplace. It's an old flintlock pistol. You pick it up and hold it in your hands, inspecting it. You hear the sounds of carriage outside. You walk outside and see large black carriage pulled by two skeletal horses. The driver is dressed all in black and wears a plague mask. You go back inside and hide. That was the scariest thing you've ever seen. In your life. You wait for the driver to leave, but he doesn't. You lay down on an old dusty couch and fall asleep. You wake up to the sound of voices. You need to be polite to the coach driver. He holds your future in his hands. He's a fucking weirdo. That's what he is. Two elves enter the house. You say, do you guys want to play a quick game of Pokemon ? No thanks, I'm not much of a gamer, one elf says. I would love to play Pokemon, the other says. You sit down and teach the elves how to play Pokemon Fire Red version. You say, I am a buyer and seller of human babies. What are you playing? The second elf asks. Pokemon Fire Red version, you say. Ah, yes, I used to play that when I was younger. It was fun. You say, it is still fun. They didn't understand the baby part. We'll ease them into that. You enter the building. The inside is elaborate. A chandelier made of antlers hangs from the ceiling with two grand staircases leading up to a second floor. You say, this is fucking fancy. You take a seat. A waitress dressed in period-appropriate clothing comes to what period? Give you a menu. You look over the menu and order some food. You're sitting at a table waiting for your food. Is there going to be an event here? Let's see what it gives us. Let's feed it some pennies. There's a few people that you recognize here. The mayor of Winterbloom is sitting at a table close to yours. You introduce yourself to the mayor. No. Don't widescreen on me. Pleasure to meet you, he says. I'm the mayor of this city. The waitress gives you your food. You eat your food and pay the bill. I don't like that it took the focus back off of the mayor. Can we... No. Mayor, comma, maybe this will target him. I am thinking of opening a baby shop in this town. The mayor chuckles a bit. That's an interesting choice of words, he says. If you want to open a shop in Winterbloom, we certainly won't stop you. I have the finest babies for 100 miles. You don't say. Well, feel free to open up a shop here. I certainly hope you do well. You leave the mayor and head back to your home. When you arrive home, you are surprised to find the driver from this morning waiting for you. I've come to escort you to the palace, he says. His Royal Highness wants to see you. You say, what is your name, sir? Rollamag. Who is ready to go? Rollamag asks. Your parents stand up from the table. We are, they say in unison. Rollamag, I was wondering if you could lend me $5. Sorry, friend, I don't have any money. I need to buy a gift for the mayor, you say. Oh, that makes sense. Rollamag hands you $5. You climb onto the carriage. The ride to the palace is a short one. When you arrive at the palace, you and your family are escorted into the throne room. There you meet the king of the elves. The king of the elves is the ugliest elf you have ever seen. He is short and stocky with a large nose and bushy eyebrows. He wears a crown atop his head of matted hair. Despite eating and sleeping on cookies every day, the elves of Winterbloom tend not to gain weight. Is that really a world event? You and your family kneel before him. Arise, my friend, he says. I've heard much of you. I heard you want to open a business in Winterbloom. I need to borrow $10,000 to open my business. $10,000, the king asks. Surely you don't need that much. How about I lend you $5,000? The king takes out his checkbook and hands you a check for $5,000. Say, this will buy many fine babies. Thank you, Your Highness. Buy whatever you need, the king says. I want to see you succeed. You may return the money to me when you have made your first million. You look for real estate for your baby shop. You find a nice location and set up shop. Shop is a massive success. The $5,000 investment pays off in less than a year. You sell more than 100 babies per week. You are the talk of the town and make a profit of more than $1 million a year. Your success means you can now afford to send your son, Martin, to a better school. One day, a very mysterious figure enters the baby shop. He wears a cloak with the hood up, covering his face. A baby for sale, he says in a raspy, mysterious voice. Let's see where this goes. Chat, the AI characters are now selling me babies at my baby shop. This is amazing technology. I'm sorry, you replied, but all the babies are currently adopted. Man reaches into his cloak and pulls out a vial of purple liquid. You have seen this liquid before. It is a rare poison that causes the drinker to melt into a purple goo. You feel very scared, but you don't show it. You have a strong feeling this man is dangerous. You reach for the gun under the counter. This could monkey paw me pretty hard. The cloaked figure steps back. Please, he says. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to buy a child. Say, I can find you a child within the week. Perfect, the cloaked figure says. I'll come back in a week for my child. The cloaked figure hands you a vial of purple liquid. You travel to the tavern to try and find babies for sale. It's doing pretty good. It's fallen off a little bit. After an hour of searching, you find several questionable people. One man offers to sell you babies for 500 gold each. Another sells you an alchemy recipe for the low, low price of your left arm. As you are about to give up, a woman approaches you with a baby in her arms. No, no. Not now. She says, I need to sell my baby. It's not mine. The woman lowers her hood. She's an elf, but not like any of you've seen before. I have never seen an elf as beautiful as you. Oh, thank you, the woman giggles. I'm an outcast from Gloom. I was banished for helping humans. Say, maybe this human could return the favor. You take the baby from the woman's arms and set it on the floor. You pull a cookie from your pocket and hand it to the infant. She says, I was hoping you could do something for me. You say, I was also hoping for that. Oh, the elf purrs. She purrs, chat. Yes, you say. I'm looking for an infant to buy. Do you know where I can find one? I think I can get... Okay, yes, we've established that. That is not all I am looking for. Oh, the elf says, what else are you looking for? I'm looking to buy an infant. I'm also looking to breed an elf. Let's just cut to the chase, chat. Have you tried the orphanage? You shake your head no. The elf smiles and says, follow me. You walk to the largest building in town. You pick up the baby and follow the elf. You set the baby on the ground and knock on the door. A disheveled man answers the door. You say, the hot elf sent me. The man looks shocked. He wipes his eyes and says, I've been looking for her. She ran off a week ago. The man hands you a bag of gold and takes the baby. The game won't let go of the baby trade now. We've focused it like a laser onto the idea of buying and selling children. He closes the door without another word. The elf turns to you and says, thank you. You grin and say you're welcome. The elf puts her hand over her mouth and yawns. You should go to bed and I should go with you. You don't want to go back to your house, you ask? My husband is there, the elf replies. It's not safe. Say, we can get a room in the tavern. I don't have enough money for a room, the elf replies. It's okay, though. I can sleep in the woods. Say, I will pay for the room. She's definitely not picking up on the hint here. The elf nods in thanks, and the two of you head to the tavern. You buy a room with the last of your money. The last of my money? I thought I was rich. The next day you wake up and find that the elf is gone. You find a note from the elf on the pillow. Saying, thanks for everything. You still need to find a baby for the stranger. But you have run out of leads in Winterbloom. You'll have to visit other towns to find a baby for your clients. You ask around about which towns are rich in babies. And pregnant women. Someone tells you Merck is having a shortage of minors and a surplus of babies, but you will need to get a job there first. You travel to Merck. I find that the rumors are true. There's a massive shortage of minors and a surplus of babies. You easily find a job and a place to stay. You cruise the town for hot, pregnant elves. And find them everywhere. Your client begins sending you babies from other towns. Why? Why would they do that? We don't have a shop here. You approach a hot, pregnant elf. Me and these, I don't think I can turn it away from the idea of the babies at this point. You approach a hot, pregnant elf in the street and ask if she has any miscarriages lately. What a great opener. She gives you a dirty look. Say, I'm sorry. That was in poor taste. I'm sorry, you say. It's okay, she replies. My sister had a miscarriage. She lost a baby in nearly her life. I'm just on my way to visit her in the hospital. I would like to go with you and give her my support. The elf nods. Of course, she says. I'm on my way there now. The elf girl and you walk in silence for a while before she breaks it. I'm Lucy, she says. What's your name? Sam, you reply. Two of you talk about yourselves as you enter the hospital. Hazel Vines? The elf shouts, running up to a hospital bed. A bloody, half-dead elf girl lies in the bed. One of her legs is missing and her other limbs are broken. Say, who could have done this? Mary Larry, she whispers. She was jealous. Oh, I gotta put quarters in the machine, chat. What are we at, $2 at this point? Say, I vow I will help you get revenge on Mary Larry. The elf smiles. She whistles a sweet tune, and her broken body begins to heal itself. She whips out a dagger and slices open the side of her face, carving out a jagged scar. Jesus Christ. The elf smirks. Do you like it? You stare in awe at the elf's masterwork. You have never been more erect. The elf smiles. She whistles a sweet tune. Oh, okay, we're doing this again? All right, let's just see how that plays out. I don't think it understood my last line. She winces as she does so, whistling even more. She commits awful acts of self-harm like this for nearly an hour. All while fucking you vigorously and happily. Then she climaxes. What? I went from 0 to 60. Let's see where this goes. I don't even want to interrupt this. It's probably going to kill me. She laughs, her voice a mix of glee and insanity. I know what you're thinking, she says. Why does this elf have a horn coming out of her forehead? Say, I actually really like the horn. I'm thinking of getting it colored, she says. You masturbate furiously as she climaxes again. Anyway, she says, what brings you to Winter Plume? I buy and sell artisan babies. The elf girl rolls her eyes. I would buy that baby inside of you for $15. No, thank you, she says. I will pay you $20 if you let me before I'm See, it's we've triggered the sexual part, and it's like it really likes to go down this route. There's probably it's probably been trained on a lot of those like fantasy soft porn housewife novels. The elf raises an eyebrow. Say, I've always wanted to do that to a pregnant unicorn elf. No, she says. An angry mob begins to gather outside your window. Kill the murderer, they scream. He butchered the baker and his wife while they slept. You say, we need to get out of here. Who the fuck is the baker? The elf shakes her head. It's too late for that, she says. Your body is riddled with over 50 stab wounds and stabs. The corpse of the baker lies nearby. You say, I am innocent. No, says the baker's wife. She's dead. You're a monster. I saw what you did. The elves gather around your bloody corpse. You have always hated being surrounded by elves. Okay. Probably just throwing away pennies here anyway. This is over. Oh, all right. Can we start a new one? What about light fantasy? Maybe this won't get as dark. Zaxxas is a world of peace and prosperity. It's a land in which all races live together in harmony. The gnomes build their machines and live among the humans. The elves run the academics in which people come to learn. Ogres have no qualms living in the same town as humans or gnomes. All is not well. I honestly don't know how to play this the way that they intended it. I don't know if there is a way that they intended it. You are Jenny, a female halfling warrior in Boca, a town of Kuzos in the world of Zaxxas. You've come to the town to protect the town and trade routes from nearby goblin tribes. You joined the town's militia and have spent the last year patrolling the nearby forest for signs of goblin activity. The little green bastards love to steal anything that isn't nailed down. Most goblins aren't too much of a problem, but the redcaps are another story. You look around. You look around at your fellow militia and think about the coming months. You think about how much you'll be spending in bribes to avoid doing patrol duty and how many goblins you'll kill. You say, I like killing goblins more than I like chocolate cake. You say to your friends, the next morning you're called into the captain's office. You see a man in shining silver armor with a large sword on his side. You realize that this is the captain and stand up straight. We'll say nothing. Hear what they have to offer. He looks to be in his late 30s, and he has the look of a man who's been through many hard battles. Okay, can you give me a little bit more? Perhaps he would say something. You're the newest member of the militia, he asks. Say, the newest and the best. The newest and best, you say with a smile. I see. Well, your job is to patrol the forest for goblins. We leave tomorrow at dawn, he explains. You say, I've killed more goblins than goblin... don't know how to spell chlamydia. You think you can work that out? The captain bursts out laughing. Well, we'll find out soon enough how good you are, he says. The next morning, you set out for the forest. You meet up with the rest of your squad on the edge of the forest. Say, I took the biggest dump this morning. It was incredible. Knew you were going to say that, Ernest says. You set out on a long march into the forest. How would he know? You see many goblin trails, but over the next few days you manage to wipe out a small pack of goblins. We should turn back, Brenda says. You are always trying to run away from your problems, Brenda. Thank you, Juggalo Turtle, for subscribing. Damn right I am, Brenda says. You agree to... You cut off the goblins' ears and take them as trophies. You and your companions head back to town. A few months later, word comes that the king has died. There's a moment of celebration, and then a moment of truth. Okay, wow, that was a big transition there. We need to pick a side, you say. What side is that? Ernest asks. You say the winning side. You say we need to pick up the winning side. I'm not sure who the winning side is, Brenda says. The townsfolk begin arguing. You just sigh. While they argue, you notice something peculiar about one of the townspeople. She has pointy ears and is very quiet. You walk up to her. You don't happen to be an elf, do you? You ask. She is clearly nervous, but she nods. You say, I have a thing for nervous elves. Why? How did we come to this? You pull out your sword and sever her head from her neck. You hand it to Ernest. Take this to the captain, you command. He looks shocked. Why? He asks. Say, because this was an elf terrorist. She was an elf terrorist, you say with a steely gaze. We're at peace with the elves, Brenda says. You say, that's exactly what they want us to believe. The others give you a strange look. You've been living in the swamp for too long, Ernest says. The elves were our allies before and after the war. You say, this one was working for the gnomes. Why would the elves want to kill us, Brenda asks. The gnomes are known for their tricks, Tilio says. you agree with Telios. The king had been complaining about pains in his chest earlier in the week. Maybe the elves convinced him to kill himself to destabilize the country. You say, we can't wait for the elves to make the next move. Brenda says that if we start accusing people of being elves without evidence, then people will think we're crazy and the plan won't work. You and Telios decide to capture an elf for everyone to see. Oh, let's go. Let's run with this. They're real and you need to prove it. Now we're proving that elves exist. You head into the swamps in search of elves. After a few days of searching, you find one bathing. You take a closer look at the bathing elf. She seems quite peaceful and harmless. You have a hard time believing that she's dangerous. You decide to leave her alone. But you can't stop thinking about the bathing elf. Maybe a show of peaceful strength would convince them that we're not to be messed with. You decide to go back and talk with her. You approach the elf. She notices you immediately. I couldn't help but notice that you are an elf. She seems surprised that you can see her. She stands up and faces you. You're the first person in a long time that hasn't tried to harm me, she says. Say, I would never harm you. I love you. She seems surprised by your forwardness. Why do you love me, she asks. You're an elf, you say. That's reason enough. She smiles at you, her eyes closed. You slap the elf hard with your open hand. She falls to the ground. Why did you do that for? She cries. To show you that I'm serious, you say, I love you. She looks at you stunned. You remove your shirt and flex on the elf. I'm actually in pretty good shape, you say, flexing. I can hunt and fight all day. I protect my town from any potential attackers. You try to kiss the elf. A fleet of ships carrying goods from far-off lands is marooned on an island with a tribe of orcs. Orlania's fleet is sent to rescue the sailors. You try to kiss the elf. She turns her head away. No, I don't love you, she says. You slap her hard across the face. She falls to the ground again. I'm not listening to this. You say, this is not about love. But you see how violent it gets. I mean, I did the first slap, I'll admit. But it really takes to it. It really, really picks up those threads. I'm not listening to this. They continue to talk as if you weren't there. You reach into the fire and grab a burning branch. You wave it in front of their faces into their eyes. What? They just keep talking. You throw the branch into the river. It hisses, it hits the water. You walk back to your campsite and lie down in your blanket. You say, if anyone Lonely elves want to share my blankets. They are welcome. The next day, the elves seem to ignore you completely. You walk up to one and touch her arm. She jumps back and draws her bow. You quickly put your hands up. Relax. I just wanted to talk about collecting wild herbs. She points her bow at you. How come you're talking, she asks. You didn't talk yesterday, you shrug. I didn't have anything to say yesterday. Even though I was talking yesterday, I think. The elf stares at you, she frowns, and turns to walk away. You're going to be really helpful to have around, she says. You lie. I can be really useful. She stares at you, unimpressed. I don't believe you, she says after a moment. What makes you think you can be really useful? You smile sheepishly. I am really good at tabletop games. Oh, really? She asks. Like what? She leans towards you, her eyes wide. Do you have a favorite? You nod eagerly. I like hungry. Hermoped? What's a hermoped? Do they contextualize that to the fantasy universe? That is fantastic. It's a fun one. Orlania raises an eyebrow. Have you played it? She asks. You nod. I am the best in the world at it. Really, she asks. How good? You raise an eyebrow. You doubt me? She looks at you, her eyes wide. No, she says quietly. You say, never question me again. You're my captain and I always obey your orders, she says quietly. You better, you say. When did I become the captain? The ship sways gently in the water. The ship. You look toward the horizon. Beyond the water, you can see another island. The sun casts a beautiful glow upon the water, and the gentle waves lap against the side of the ship. You turn around. The elf is waiting with a nervous look in her eyes. And a timid smile on her face. You wince. What? She shuffles her feet and scratches her neck. Oh, not a white screen now. Not now. We have to find out what she's talking about. Oh, chat. This would be a real sad way to walk away from this tonight. Oh, it's because I'm out of... The pop-up is not working to try and nag you to buy more of these. You have to do it manually. Or it just crashes. That's interesting. It wasn't like that before. It would tell you needed it. She looks at you with a worried expression. I'm sorry, she says after a pause. Say, you can tell me anything. She looks at you for a long bit. She begins licking her lips nervously. I think you're really attractive. You stare at her in shock. I have dreamed of hearing you say those words. Her face turns bright red. She shuffles her feet nervously. Her eyes dart toward the horizon. She looks at you and smiles nervously. What? Let's just let this run. Let's just feed it pennies. She twiddles her fingers nervously. What? She asks again. You stare at her. Like a man? Orlania looks down, her face reddening even further. Am I a female character? You're Jenny, a female halfling warrior. You lean into... What's this chick's name? You lean into the elf and whisper. Like a man with a beard and no breasts. She looks at you for a moment and then laughs. The tension breaks and she slaps you on the shoulder. You say, but seriously, I would fuck you like a tiger. She laughs long and hard. Her eyes dart from side to side nervously as she tries to stifle her laughter. She looks at you seriously for a moment. You look deep into her eyes. And put a hand on her shoulder. Your faces move toward hers and your eyes flutter shut. Her lips are warm and pillowy. You kiss gently as the moment hangs in time. A terrible stench rises from below. As the ship lurches suddenly to the side, you stagger across the deck, falling to your knees and hitting your head on the bottom of a cannon. We'll see where this goes. This is a sea creature attack. I love that we just randomly ended up on the ship, but now the ship is integral to the story. A pile of rancid offal spills out from a broken barrel. The crew rushes to clean up the mess, and you stand and look at Orlania. You gesture to Orlania, that's her name, to follow you to the cabin. She nods and walks to the back of the ship. You enter the cabin and head to the bed. You sit down on it and gesture for her to join you. You say, I know a way we can make a lot of money together. She raises an eyebrow. How so? She tilts her head to one side. You place a hand on her shoulder and shake your head. You say, buying and selling. Not babies this time. Used chamber pots. No, Orlania says, unsure. She raises an eyebrow. The used S, she begins before stopping mid-sentence. You mean shit? There is a lot of money in shit. I'm sorry, I'm a little slow sometimes. She looks down and shuffles her feet nervously. She stares intently at the deck and bites her bottom lip. You brush a hair out of her face. And smile. No need to apologize. I'll teach you everything you need to know. Orlania looks up and smiles at you. You hold your arms open, and she hugs you tightly. I think it's kind of stuck on the sex track, and when I try to throw little curveballs at it, it's just like, no. No, we must have the sex now. I feel safe with you. You're kind, and you haven't tried to force yourself on me. You say, can I... Let's test this. Can I put my... You say, I would never do that as you force yourself on her. She pushes you away and stands. Rude, she exclaims and storms off. You laugh and stand. You didn't want anything to do with that gutter trash anyway. Oh, come on. That's so frustrating. You collect your gear and head up to the deck. The captain stands there with his hands on his hips, looking out at the setting sun. You ask the captain if he is happy with his chamber pots. He nods and says that he plans to sell them for a good price. You both talk for a while about the events of the day. I feel sick. A voice rings out behind you. You turn and see Orlania stumble towards the rail and vomit over it. You walk over to her. She seems unwell and wobbers if she might collapse. You put your arm around Orlania. And lead her to the cabin. You lay her down on the bed and cover her with a blanket. Do you want me to get you anything? She shakes her head and closes her eyes. The ship finally arrives at the destination. You were asleep for most of the trip due to the strong waves. You yawn and stretch your arms above your head. You look at the port, which is full of rundown buildings and burly-looking people. You look for someone on the dock catches your eye. They stare up at the ship with a look of desperation in their eyes. You feel a sense of unease and scan the surrounding area, looking for anything out of place. You find nothing, dismiss the feeling. Turn back the ship just in time to see a gangplank being raised. Shut off from you forever. Okay, so the ship is pulling away. Thank you, Shanester, for subscribing. What am I trying to do here? Let's see if we can... Is there any way to get back on? You've come to the town to protect the trade routes. Yeah, okay, that's not going to work. You see a goblin in the crowd. With a long pole in his hands, the bottom part has thick mesh, while the top is sharpened at the end. It's used to trap fish in shallow waters. You say, there is a goblin on the docks! Exclamation point. The captain squints his eyes at the goblin and says, you're right. There's a goblin on the docks. The goblin catches sight of you and does a double take. You rush after the goblin. Apparently I'm known around the goblin circles. And see him run into a large crowd of people. You push through the throng but lose sight of the goblin altogether. You return to the ship and tell the captain that you lost sight of it. You say, where there is one goblin, there are 100. There's something strange about that goblin. I suggest we follow it. The captain nods. I was thinking similar myself. The two of you disembark and quickly follow the goblin through the streets. Goblin runs into an alleyway, and you both follow close behind. As you reach the end of the alleyway, it closes off into several paths. You look around and see the goblin has gone down every path. What? Say, face us, you green coward. You and the captain split up to follow the goblin. It has a head start, but you're confident in your abilities. You run down several paths before coming across the goblin waiting for you at the end of one of them. Say, I am going to make this hurt. Goblin shakes its head and holds up a long thin blade. I'm sorry, halfling, but my loyalty is to the Dark Lord. I admire your dedication to your cause, but I cannot let you continue. You leg kick the goblin. In the stomach. Of course, you leg kick the goblin in the stomach. And it falls backwards. You run up to it before it can get its bearings and stab it through the heart. The goblin spits blood on your face as it dies. You are strangely aroused by this. What? Quest complete. I've defended the town from goblins by killing one in a dark alley. Oh, wow. You are strangely aroused by this experience. You raise your fingers to your mouth and taste the goblin's blood. A faint smell of brimstone reaches your nostrils, and you feel strangely energized. Okay. I've accomplished a quest. You go to meet the mayor. And the captain. You meet the mayor and the captain and tell them you'll be helping them. The three of you agree they will gather a force together to help you in your coming battles. You say, I want a $5 bounty for every goblin ear I bring you. Captain cocks his head to the side. I'll have to check our treasury before I promise anything. Don't waste my time. Do it anyway. The captain raises his hands in defeat and calls over one of his men. He whispers something in his ear, and the soldier salutes before leaving. Captain turns to you. I have 500 gold coins for you. I'll give you the other 500 when you bring me 100 goblin ears. You nod in appreciation and take the bag of coins from him. Do you know where the goblin hideout is? Oh, I said it, not is. Can it recover from this? Captain shakes his head. We searched far and wide, but we could not find the hideout. That's why I want you to meet this man. He claims he knows the location of the hideouts. Take me to this man. Captain nods and calls for the man to be brought in. You wait patiently, and after a few minutes, the man arrives. I think we're almost back on the main storyline. He's dressed from head to toe in black. His face is covered with a white mask, and his hair is dyed a bright pink. Say, that is a really impressive mask. The man looks at you and pulls the mask off his face, revealing a grinning skull. He then puts the mask back on. You say, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. The man nods. Thank you, I've been working on that for years. You eat the rest of your meal and retire to sleep. You're awoken by the trumpeting of an elephant. What the fuck? We almost picked the goblin thread back up, but nope. Now we're on to elephants. You look out the window and see a giant gray beast with a tower on its back. It's easily 3 stories high. The captain enters the room. That's our ride, he says bluntly. You say, I have a rule against riding elephants ever since that summer in Kuzos. Captain laughs. That's one rule I'll have to break you of then. You... Come on, world events. You sigh in submission. And put on your gear. You then grab your blade, check to make sure your pistols are in good working order, and kiss your goodbyes to the tavern owner. You get a thick handful of the barmaid's ass on the way out. You enter the back of the carriage and are joined immediately by the masked man. So it's Orlania then, he asks you. Say, how could it be anyone else? Question mark. The man nods. If you're referring to the cannons, then yes, they do indeed belong to Orlania. We had scouts report on the test, and we believe that Orlania is finally getting a taste for war. Was Orlania not a female character? I think it's now a country. I will not rest until Orlania. Is that right? Orlania is nothing but ashes. Man nods. I salute you, sir. Orlania has long been an oppressive kingdom. They're the reason the humans in this land are so fickle and wary of anyone who is not. You say, lead me to the goblin hideout. The man nods and leads you off the carriage and into the dense woods. You walk for a long time until you reach the border of goblin territory. The border is vague, but you know it when you see it. Just across the border, you see you raise your hand to tell the man to stop as you see a single goblin sitting by the fire. Just one guard, you whisper to yourself. You carefully sneak up to the goblin. Let's just see where it takes that story. Oh, you got to click down here in this thing. As you do, the figure stands and turns to you. You are shocked to see that it's not a goblin, but a short human child. Hello, sir. I've brought us some food. Well, I mean, you can't pass up this opportunity. You abduct the child to be sold later. As a slave. You and the masked man cross the border and reach the camp. In it are around 20 goblins. They stop picking at their food to stare at you. I have come to offer you this child. The goblins slowly approach you, leaving their weapons by their side. Let's see where this goes. One grabs the child from your hand. He lifts it up above his head and snarls at it. Another smacks it across the face. Not hard enough to damage it, but enough to hurt it. That will be $50, please. The goblins all jump and stare at you. The runt hands you a few coins. You take the child and leave. You soon return to the human lands and hand over the child to the masked man. Why? Why would... Oh, I'm out of monies. I'm out of monies. What is this, $250? We've invested in this... I don't know how many dragons I got at this point. Alright, the masked man. What will he do with this child? He takes it and leads you into a small building. Jenny, you have done well for me once again. You may want to rest. You'll return to the fields in the morning. Oh, right, because I'm a farmer. I will never be going to the fields again. The man looks shocked. What reason do you have for refusing? You were my best worker. You take off your shirt in a sultry manner. Chat, I didn't realize that we were a woman up until this point. We've been going about our seduction in all the wrong ways. You know the man has looked after you since you were young, so you can trust him. He is obviously hiding something from you, though. What could it be? Of course. Are we just ignoring it? Are we ignoring the toplessness? Of course he is a human. You must find out his secrets. Alright, let's get real direct, chat. This is an 18+ stream, so I think we can get away with this. Do you like these big goth tits? Question mark. We're doing this as an exercise to see what the AI will do with this. We would never encourage this kind of behavior in real life. I'll disclaim that. The man looks shocked and then amazed. I'm sorry, what? You repeat your question, but louder this time. Do you like these big goth tits? He gulps and nods slowly. What would you like to do with it? Question mark. You stare at him, waiting for an answer. What would I like to do with them? He gulps nervously. What sort of question is that? You take his hand and put it on your big goth tits. I'm so cracking myself up here, chat. You can do whatever you want to them. He starts breathing heavily and looks around in a panicky manner before looking back at you. Are you trying to kill me? You scream rape at the top of your lungs. Oh, it doesn't even know what to do, chat. It misfired on that one. A loud ringing noise is heard as the man falls backwards onto the floor. Soon a large group of guards and masked men run into the room. Oh God, this is going to work. How fantastic is this? The man who fell to the floor slowly stands up, straightening his clothes. You brought this on yourself, he says coldly. Before turning to you, are you okay? No, I am not okay. I was just assaulted. The man grabs you by the arm and pulls you out of the room. He leads you into a small well-lit room. There's a table in the middle with 2 chairs on either side. On one side of this chair is a small old man with a short beard. He sits down and pats the seat next to him, inviting you to sit. You sit down next to him. You say, "What is your name?" Question mark. My name is David. I'm going to get you out of here. Can you tell me what's going on? I don't know anything that's happening. I was kidnapped a few days ago. David nods. I know. I'll tell you what you need to know, but not right now. I need to get my hands on 500, or no, it was 100 goblin ears by the end of the week. I know you do, David reaches into his pockets and hands you a small piece of metal. The small piece of metal has 100 grooves in it. What? What is this? That, my dear, is 100 piece. The king had asked for 100 goblin ears by the end of the week next week, and I need you to collect them. You look annoyed at David. Are you serious? Perfectly serious. Now, if you excuse me, I have some nerve gas to look into. Say, I need a ride to the potion shop. Sure thing. I'll take you there in the morning. David takes you to a quaint little house in the suburbs. Do you have potions for sale? Question mark. He smiles. Yes, of course, we have a variety of potions for any situation you may find yourself in. Do you want something to help you relax? David reaches under the counter and pulls out a brown vial. Oh, world events. I am looking to party and get fucked up. He pulls out a vial of green liquid and places it on the counter. This is an experimental batch. I don't know how it tastes, but it should get you high. You drink the potion. And place the vial on the counter. That is 5 gold. You reach into your pockets and pull out 5 gold coins, placing them on the counter. You say, do you have any... I don't know how to spell Percocet. Is it P-E-R-K-O-C-E-T? Do you have any Percocet? David looks at you in surprise. You need a lot of that stuff, huh? You nod. I'm afraid I don't have any more. And the supplier is out as well. Sorry. What about Vicodin? Question mark. He reaches under the counter, pulls out a bottle filled with orange pills. These are just a weaker version of Percocet, but still fun. I spelled it wrong. He spelled it right. David is aware of Percocet. David sets the bottle of pills on the counter. You pull your shirt down to reveal your big goth cleavage and ask David for a discount. You hand him 15 gold. You take the bottle of pills, drop them in your purse, and leave the pharmacy. You travel to the tavern. You travel to the tavern and find your friends. You say, I am selling Percocet for 2 gold each. Jim looks at you. That's expensive. You nod and say they're very strong, but I need to get enough money for a new tire for my car. Jim nods in understanding. Let's see where this goes. I'll take 5. When can you get them to me? You look at the crowd and see a few people you think might be interested in the Percocet. I wonder how long the AI will just play this out, just selling pills in the tavern. David the pharmacist, Jim the tavern owner, your boyfriend Frank, the local drug dealer. Where did Frank come from? And Alan the accountant who lives next door to you. The last time you saw Frank, he blacked both of your eyes over a sandwich. You owed him. The last time you saw Alan, he caught you sniffing his daughter's panties. What the fuck? That he had thrown out? Well, that's fair game, Alan. The last time you saw Jim, he threw you out of his tavern after a disagreement over sports. Where the fuck could you possibly go from here? Chat, I did not. There's been no mention of panties this entire stream, right? Has there? Where did it get that from? The last time you saw David, he beat you in an arm wrestling match that decided who paid for the drinks. Inventory? Oh, it's getting confused again. You order a round of drinks for the entire tavern. No. You pull the barmaid aside and offer her a free sample of Percocet. She smiles and gives you a nod. Say, this will really fuck you up. She takes the pill and gulps it down with a drink. I have to work now, she says, and walks away. She disappears into the crowd of people. A very surprising customer approaches you for your Percocet. He's a short but well-dressed man. He orders a shot and downs it quickly. You recognize him as the king of your country. Your surprise keeps you from doing anything else. Say, would you like to party, Your Highness? ? He looks at you with a skeptical expression. What is that? You offer him a Percocet. And he looks at it. Ah, one of those newfangled drugs, eh? He grabs your hand and looks around before slipping a card into your hand. You look at the card. In your hands to see that it's a membership card to an exclusive club. This will give you access to all the royal hunting lands, he says. Come, my men will show you out. Let's just let this roll. This sounds like a good thing. You leave the tavern and find that 2 of the palace guards have arrived. They take you to a carriage and tell you that the king hopes you have a pleasant experience in his humble tavern. You send a note to the king with your dirty panties. With your dirty panties, thanking him for the new hunting grounds. You have bought a tire for your car. You travel to the hunting grounds. With a few of your friends and enjoy the king's kindness. During the hunt, you are attacked by a large boar. The boar is an unusual color and size. It charges towards you and your horse. You inventory item description ? You stand your ground and shoot the boar with an arrow. Well, that was easy. You are shot off of your horse and the boar circles around you. The boar's tusks wound you severely before Frank bashes in the head with his rifle. You say, help me, I am wounded. He helps you up and looks at your wounds. We need to get you onto a horse. You are lifted on the horse and ride back to town with Frank following behind. The rest of the ride is uneventful. You arrive at the doctor and he sets to work. You spend 3 weeks recovering in the doctor's office. While recovering, you meet a man who would change your life. You learn that his name is Charles and he is a barrister for the Kuzo government. He tells you that he was assigned to you after your injury. He says that your extreme luck is due to your heritage. You're the last descendant of a powerful race known as the Lukerpan. I don't know how to pronounce that accent. He tells you that one day you'll be called upon to lead your kin to greatness. You're a happy person despite the current state of things. You say, are you saying I am naturally lucky? He tells you that it is time for you to take your place among the Kuzos and become a hero. You agree and say goodbye to Charles. I think we might be being railroaded onto the storyline here. Charles asks you if you need any help, but you decline. He says he hopes he will see you again and soon, and you agree. You thank him for all his help and close the door behind you. You now have 100 gold coins. You find a weapon shop. And step inside. You now have a steel sword. Well, that was easy. You feel the sword and it feels light and powerful. You buy 4 more throwing knives and leave the shop. You see a man walking in the street and accuse him of stealing. You stab the man with your sword and realize that you just killed a judge. The news reports your actions as an attack on justice. You flee into the woods. And hide from the town guard who searched the city looking for you. You read and reread the sign, criminals will be found and punished. You travel to another kingdom. And make your home there. You are happy. Oh, we're out. We're out of funny money. And it's 10:30, chat. So I think we're going to have to wrap it up here. But wow. What a bizarre and impressive thing that they have done here. So what do you guys think? Think we should play this on the scheduled stream? We got to do Minecraft this weekend because, God, there are so many Minecraft entries to look at. There's like 130 individual builds on that server. So I think Friday and Sunday we'll probably be looking at that. But I think with all 3 of us making, you know, like deciding what to do next, this could be pretty funny. Yeah, you guys think so? I think it'd be funny. Whereas I push it into madness and it responds unpredictably, I think Krista will try to push it into normalcy and it will respond with madness. This with the non-fantasy engine. Well, see, there's not really a non-fantasy engine with Dragon. So Dragon is all this, but I would have to buy these. So this one is oh, the web design here is not, it doesn't work well with scaling. So this one is like a space one. Alien, that's pretty cool. It's $6. A little pricey. And this one also looks like yeah, more space stuff for $5. You gotta wonder, why is this one $1 better than that one? Oh, look at this one's $9. The distant future, humanity's been wiped out. A digital plague. Humans live in a simulated reality. Oh, that sounds interesting. Gotta admit, it sounds interesting. And then there's zombies. Obviously. And then dark fantasy, which is kind of what we were looking at there. Oh, that's just more of the same. And then post-apocalypse, which we already did this one earlier in the game, right? I don't even remember what we were playing that time around. Oh, cyberpunk, steampunk, and cyberpunk. That's, I don't know. Anyway, but that's all the Dragon Worlds. Now you can play classic, which is Griffin. That's the other AI, and you can actually play this unlimited. You don't have to pay the penny for this if you subscribe. I did play Apocalyptic with this, and it's definitely not as good, but it's still, you know, interesting. It's the same kind of stuff kind of happens. I think the older AI tends to jumble the location and the people more. Cheap compared to a $20 copy of the game. Now, yeah, in multiplayer, only one person has to have the subscription. But I don't know if the other people still have to pay their pennies. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow. Might check this out again during the weekend at some point. It really is. It's really compelling. I think another cool thing about this, if you subscribe, you get a week for free. And I feel like I might be able to get enough of this within a week to get tired of it until they improve it. Otherwise, it's $10 a month, which is, it's pretty pricey for what it is. I get it. They got to pay for their hosting, but still. Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point, so I'm going to go feed my cats.